especially in women. I think so. They believe that weight training makes you bulky, but this is a big myth. In fact, initially I had dealt with a lot of cases at 48 Fitness where I was recommending weight training to women. When you exercise, you look at the calorie burning on your fitness tracker or on your cardio machine, but that is normally inaccurate. That is never accurate. There's no food in nature that is fat rich and not having protein. So therefore, eating less is not a way to go about it, because eating less, what it does is it reduces your metabolism. So the calorie that your body is burning throughout the day slows down.
Yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, I pop off when I hear people say I cannot. I get off to the thought of proving everyone wrong, I won't stop to the top, so you better back off and get lost. I'ma stay loud, stay proud, never running out, never heading south. I'll be spreading out, call it word of mouth, can't put me down, I'll be getting loud. You can have your doubts, not what I'm about, have your cloud, it be raining now, I keep making sound, go another round, I'm legend bound, can't stop me now.
Hi Vijay, welcome to the show. A formidable expert in the field of nutrition and longevity, an author, an entrepreneur, a business leader, so many hats that you wear, and over the last 10 years you've transformed thousands if not millions of lives through your various fitness initiatives such as 48 Fitness, your book writing initiatives, and the content that you share on various leading publications. So welcome to the show. Looking forward to our discussion.
Thank you, Nishant. Thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's so great to have you, and because the last couple of months we have been speaking to the foremost experts in the field of longevity, and nutrition is one of the most important pillars of longevity, where what is longevity? Longevity is essentially a science of living longer while living a healthier life. And I think nutrition plays a super critical role in that. And your book, Eating Less is Making You Fat, talks about it. I have read a few chapters around it. I loved it. I have started sharing it with so many of my friends and family because I think this is really a truly game changer. So tell us, where did you get the inspiration to write this book?
Sure, Nishant. Thank you for a lovely introduction and praising my book so much. I would say that before I get into the inspiration part, I think so it'll be important for us to cover the backdrop of its creation. What really made me do this. So this journey started back in 2009 when I was studying economics and management from the London School of Economics. So I always aspired to be into economics, finance, management, and that's why I was doing it from the best university that is there. So while studying, I also got into exercising because studies there were so stressful that I had to have some way to let that energy out, let that stress out. So I started working out, and of course when you start working out, you also want to make sure that your nutrition is right, so that you have the right energy in the gym, your recovery is good. So all those things I somewhat knew that it has to be that way. So I started exercising regularly, started following sports nutrition, and in fact the mental and the physical transformation that I saw was simply amazing because of that. In fact, there were many people my gym friends that I consulted during that time, who also benefited from this knowledge that I was giving them, that how they can optimize their workouts. So, and I truly believe that life. So people ask me that why should I work out, why should I eat good. My simple answer is that life is the biggest sport of all. If you want to be happy in life, if you want to be successful in life, you need to have good health. There are no two ways about it. And to achieve this good health, you need to do two things: regular workouts and good nutrition. So this particular thought led me to pursue my master's degree, not in management or economics, but in sports management and functional medicine from the UK. So this was back in 2011. So after 2 years of studying my completing my economics and management, I then got into sports management. And this particular educational foundation was important for me to really grasp and understand that what are the integrities and what are the nitty-gritties of your interaction between diet, exercise, health. So which was very important. Then in 2013, I came back. I started my flagship fitness venture, 48 Fitness, which was also award winning. And, over time we won a lot of awards, and it also actually added to my professional, entrepreneurial kind of cap. Because I got to consult so many people, almost thousands of my, clients I was able to consult. I saw their body composition report. What one theme came out very strongly, especially with people who wanted to lose weight, was the myth that I am eating less, why am I not losing weight? So that led me to do a little more investigation into, what was going on in the body, and try to understand that how the body dynamically manages energy levels. So from, the combination of the studies that I did, the international exposure that I got, plus the hands-on experience that I got with, consulting these clients, what I understood was that eating less is not a sustainable way of losing weight. Because when you eat less, it is, basically driven by your mood and motivation. And if you do anything in life, be it dieting or whatever it is, based on your mood and motivation, it will slowly and steadily go down. So therefore, eating less is not a way to go about it, because eating less, what it does is it reduces your metabolism. So the calorie that your body is burning throughout the day slows down. Your body will tell you to not exercise because it's very lethargic, because when you're eating less of not only carbohydrate, proteins and fats, you're also eating less of vitamins and minerals that the body needs to function well. For example, you need vitamin B complex to remove energy or convert energy that you get from carbs into ATP, which is the usable form of energy that the body uses. But usually when we eat less, we end up not having these critical vitamins in our body. So lethargy is what it leads to, reduction in metabolism what it leads to, and also imbalance in hormones. That is a big thing that we don't actually see, but we feel it. So the two hormones that I would like to talk about today is the appetite hormones in our body, which is ghrelin and leptin. Ghrelin is known as a hunger hormone, which is the highest before our meal times. So if we know that it's our meal time and we have not eaten anything, your body will keep telling you to search for food. And that is the only thing that will be in your mind till the time you feed yourself something. So ghrelin has that psychological impact. It changes the neural circuitry of your brain to just seek for food. So your ghrelin levels increase when you eat less. Your leptin levels, on the other hand, which is a satiety hormone, goes down throughout the day. So you can just imagine this cocktail of ghrelin going up and leptin going down will keep you hungry all the time. You will start having that feeling of deprivation, that I'm eating less but I'm not enjoying life. What is the point of having a life if I'm not enjoying it? So वो circular reasoning चालू होता है, and therefore you end up just going back to your old routine because of this hormonal change. So eating less causes this hormonal change. Secondly, the body is a very intelligent machine. Our body has evolved through millions and millions of years of evolution, confronting many kind of famine, confronting many kind of disasters. So it knows how to manage such situations. So when we eat less, the body perceives it as a famine. It does not know that what is the difference between actual food not being there outside versus you deliberately restricting food. It can't differentiate between the two. So the time that actual crisis used to happen, food was actually not available to you. So therefore, there were no smells around of food. So you could still eat less and, the body could survive. But in today's time, when we are trying to deliberately eat less, when so much of good food is, smelling around us, it backfires. Because as I said, the body is a very intelligent machine. The way we manage our finances when our incomes drop, when we see that our income is dropping or, we have lost our job. So what we end up doing, we end up saving more and spending less. Body does the same thing through the action of the brain part known as the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus controls all the involuntary functions in your body, breathing, body temperature, many things like that. So when the body sees that your incoming is coming down, that means your food is coming down, it will adjust. It will intelligently adjust and say that, okay, I need to save my future. I need to save my body for the future. So whatever energy you end up consuming, will go into storage. If I were to explain you with an example, I would say that, COVID time was the time that we actually saw this effect happening with us. When we knew that the COVID lockdown has happened, and we never know when is the next meal going to come, or when the next window is going to come for us to go and buy our essentials and stock our fridges and all that. We were always worried. So whenever that window opened, everyone went out and bought more stuff for their home than what they required. So this is our survival instinct of this conscious mind. The subconscious mind does the same thing. So it'll start storing more fat, and when we eat less, the thing is that, so when we eat one of the 3 macronutrients, one is carbs, then is protein, then is fats, correct? Carbs and protein gives you 4 kilocalories per gram. Fat, on the other hand, gives you more than double, 9 kilocalories per gram. So when we get this awareness as people who are dieting, first thing, what is the easiest thing to do? I want to reduce calorie intake, let me reduce fat. But in nature, you pick any food, it will always have, if it has fats, it will always have protein also. Like, except the added fat that we extract from the seeds and grains, there's no food in nature that is fat rich and not having protein. So when we are cutting down fat, because we want to cut calories, we also cut down protein. And protein, as we know, is an essential nutrient for our body. And therefore our diet biases towards carbs. So we are having carbs all the time, trying to eat less, and it is not, and what I have seen is that it is not that we start having more fruits and vegetables because we are having more carbs. It'll always be a combination of fruits, vegetables, and some packet food which says that low fat. So because it's low fat, it will also be low protein. So not enough nutrients are going inside when we are trying to eat less. And body understands that. Body, unfortunately, evolutionary does not have a mechanism to say that you're deficient in protein, go have protein. You're deficient in vitamin B12, go have B12. It just has one signal for the gut. So brain will say that to the gut that some nutrients are missing, go have it. So now we are consuming more calories to get the same amount of protein that the body needs. We are having more calories for the same amount of vitamins and minerals that the body needs. So we end up eating more. So therefore, the component of the quality of calories is so important that it will, if your food is not quality enough in terms of nutrients, you will end up eating more just to get the same amount of nutrients. So that is why we need to address the quality of the nutrients in order to constrict the quantity. So that's why quality of the food is so important.
Incredible. I think you've hit the nail on its head when you say that because of thousands of years of evolution, our bodies have a tendency of storing when it sees that there is a crisis outside. We may not, the body, some organs may not be able to perceive that it's not a crisis actually, but we need to tend to store more fat around our bellies, around our buttock, I think that's how the body has been transformed after seeing so many famines in last 200-300 years also. That's why
Correct.
Indians or Southeast Asians have a tendency of gaining weight around the belly and not the overall body. That's
Correct.
one of the things. But what I did like about your entire philosophy is because it's an antithesis. This breaks the social norm because, the moment you talk about fat loss, the moment anyone has to think about, they go and consult nutritionists, they would go and consult their gym trainers or anyone in general who has just gone through a transformation. That's the first thing everyone tells them, that Arey aap khana chhod do, you have to go into calorie deficit. And that's actually, I've seen so many influencers also talking only about calorie deficit and not really talking about macros and micros, which are so essential for your day-to-day functioning itself. In fact, it has a direct correlation with your sleep, the energy levels, the way you make decision making. All of these things are never talked about because I think the concept of calorie deficit itself, as you're clearly written and keep talking about, has a fallacy. And clearly, I think I can see some correlations from your economics background as well, because clearly, whenever there is crisis, whenever economy is going through a downturn, you start saving, and that's exactly what happens with the body also. In fact, it stops to burn those many calories even if you're going out and working out.
Correct. And in fact, you'll save on the surplus calories because workout for the body is like, spending on your luxury brands.
That's
So if
true.
it does not have much coming, it does not have much coming in, it will not let much to go out
Right.
by inducing lethargy. And in fact, since you're talking about the famine thing, 10,000 years back, before that, when agriculture was still not a mainstream occupation for humans, people were able to survive on whatever was there around them. It is only after the agricultural revolution that happened is when people started getting used to eating very frequently. So, the body is well equipped to be without food for 6-7 hours, as we had, earlier also discussed how, when we do ultra marathon or when we do such endurance, feat, it is, food is very scarce to come. But you don't see people, suddenly dying out of energy, that, they ran out of energy suddenly. So body has very good mechanism to deal with famine. But it's that we have to address it in a very scientific way. We can't force the body to go on a calorie deficit. Instead, we have to target nutrient quality to ensure that there's a deficit coming in.
Wonderful. So,
Like it's a natural thing.
yeah, yeah. So, during your stint at 48 Fitness, and of course, you've helped thousands of people go through their transformation. What are typically, in your opinion, some of the myths around diet in general when people are looking to sort of start on their fitness journey? And this being a ultra fitness and longevity podcast, I think that might be interest to the audience. If you can speak about the norms set by the society or influencers or general, passed down through generations, that are ye right hai, baki sab galat hai. Any of these myths which you now know are myths and actually not science based?
Sure. So I would say that in my journey as a functional medicine coach and the experiences that I've shared in my book, Eating Less is Making You Fat, I have come across many myths, I would say. But I would say that top 5 would be, number 1 would be people think that, if they exercise more, they'll lose more weight. So which is not true for the reason that, see, exercise is healthy. There's no doubt about it. To promote your health, insulin sensitivity, metabolic health, you need to exercise. But its role in weight loss is quite overestimated.
Okay.
That's for 2 reasons. Number 1 is that when you exercise, you look at the calorie burning on your fitness tracker or on your cardio machine. But that is normally inaccurate. That is never accurate. It'll always be overestimated. Reason being that if you want to find your actual calorie intake, calorie output, which is calorie expenditure throughout the day, you need to be in a metabolic chamber, which is known as a calorimeter. So calorimeter is like a room in which you are given a mask, which measures your oxygen exchange, carbon dioxide that you're exhaling and oxygen that you're breathing in. That gives an accurate sense of how much energy your body is burning while you're sitting, exercising, and that is only available in universities. So whatever you see on your tracker will always be overestimated and you should never rely on that. Probably you're burning less than what you think, and then when you go back and say 500 calories I have burned, 500 calories I can eat. So that'll never be the case. Probably you have burned 450 calories, but then 50 calories you're having extra thinking that is the right information. So one reason is that. Second reason is that our body is an open system. What I mean by open system is that it interacts with the lifestyle that we have and it interacts with the external environment that we are in. So for example, if we suddenly go into a cold weather, our body will shiver. There will be a non-shivering thermogenesis that will be happening, where the brown fat will be, generating heat. So the body compensates. The body makes sure that, if you're in an environment that is a little uncomfortable with the body, it knows how to adjust. So when we exercise, while we are burning calories, while exercising, the body after exercise will reduce the metabolism to conserve those energy units that we had expended while exercising. So in fact, a recent research has shown that, volunteers who exercised for like 1 hour and burned around 100 calories ended up saving 28 calories per hour 4 hours after exercise, because that was body wanting to get those calories back and maintain the homeostasis of the fat tissue. That means the amount of fat that the body wants to carry at any given point in time is very controlled. It's not something that is on your whims and fancies. Today you'll exercise, tomorrow you'll eat less, and the body will do nothing. Body, through its hunger and satiety hormones, will make your behavior change. So a better way to lose weight, I would say, is to follow a sensible nutrition plan. Follow understand that quality of nutrients are very important for us to target that calorie deficit that we want to aim for to lose weight, which is calorie in minus calorie out. So if your calorie out is more than your calorie in, you will lose weight. But if that calorie in is not very nutritious, then the body will find it very hard to retain that fat loss. So I would say sensible eating with moderate exercise is the way to go if you want to lose weight sustainably. Second myth I would say is especially in women, I think so, they believe that weight training makes you bulky. But this is a big myth. In fact, initially I had dealt with a lot of cases at 48 Fitness where I was recommending weight training to women because they had problems with fat deposition around hips and thighs and all that. So I recommended them squats, and then suddenly they realized ये तो पहलवानों का exercise है. If I do, I'll become a पहलवान. So I said no, it will not happen. It's a myth, because first thing is that you need weight training so that you build a toned body. So we want a toned body, but we don't want to do strength training. It does not work that way. So it's good for the toned body. It is very good for your bone density, which is very important from longevity point of view also. Osteoporosis and I think so sarcopenia are two main problems in old age. So it needs to be addressed with weight training. And also your metabolism goes up, because the more muscle mass you carry, the more your body is able to burn those calories, because your muscle mass is an metabolically active tissue which requires calories to sustain itself. So you're improving your metabolism also. And of course, to get bulky and to get very muscular, you need supraphysiological level of testosterone, male hormone testosterone, which is lacking in women. So they'll never get bulky. Also, with testosterone, you need to follow a very, very stringent nutrition plan across your lifespan, which I've seen that people cannot follow.
Yeah.
So because of the absence of these two factors, I would say that women will not get bulky if they do weight training. So that was the second myth. Third, I would say that, what we discussed earlier, that people think that, you can lose weight from specific areas or fat from specific areas with specific exercise. Correct. Spot reduction. So I would say that is false, because though you can exercise and target specific muscles for tone and, for strength, but your fat loss is a more, I would say, a holistic process. The fat loss is genetically predetermined, that specific exercises cannot alter. So basically the body follows the LIFO principle, last in first out.
Right.
When we manage our stock in, perishable goods, so the last thing that comes goes first, So the body follows the same principle. Wherever the body has deposited fat last, when we start exercising and following good nutrition, that is a fat that will be lost first, followed by the sites which are very likely to, gain fat, to deposit fat. That is also because of the role of insulin, the role of lipoprotein lipase, which is an enzyme that is functioning around the fat tissues. So wherever the lipoprotein lipase is the most active in the body, those are the sites that will first gain fat. So in men, I would say that, that is more of a belly area, the beer belly, what we say, because there the LPL activity, which I've also mentioned in the book, is the highest. So when we start gaining fat, that is the first area in which we gain fat, followed by the arms, chest, and all those other
around
areas.
Around the liver,
Correct.
stomach. Yeah.
Correct. So that is organ, that is visceral fat.
Right.
So there are two things. One is visceral fat, other one is subcutaneous fat. So here I'm referring
to
the
double
subcutaneous
click on
fat.
These two types of fats?
Yeah, sure. So visceral fat, as the name says, comes from viscera. Viscera means organs.
Right.
So like we have liver, we have kidney, we have heart.
Sure.
So these organs also need some level of readily available energy in case if there is some crisis.
Right.
So it is stored around the organ. Other reason is protection reason. The organs need to be protected from infection, toxins, and all that.
Sure.
So this fat layer which comes on top is playing that role.
Okay. Okay.
But we need it to a certain extent. So too much of visceral fat will lead to organ malfunction because the hormones will not be able to reach the organ itself when it needs to reach.
Is
And
it
therefore the organs will
something like
malfunction.
people usually say that they are detected with a fatty liver
Hmm.
or high cholesterol?
Correct.
Are these the same kind of fats? Type of a excessive visceral fat is what it is?
So excessive visceral fat is more of a triglyceride that has been stored
Okay.
around the organ. And cholesterol is a different kind of a fat
Okay. Okay.
which circulates in our bloodstream.
Right.
So those are two different kind of fats. So so one is visceral fat, other one is subcutaneous fat. Subcutaneous is the fat that we find underneath our skin.
Sure.
That is the site for the body to store energy for future use.
Okay. Okay.
So in men we have it around the belly area. That
Right.
is the first area that is targeted by the body. And for women, so that is called the android pattern of fat gain,
Okay.
which is typically seen in men because of the testosterone. And in women, it is seen as in the hips and thighs, which is the gynoid pattern of fat deposition. These are also called the problem areas,
Okay.
Many people come to me and say that this is my problem area, that is my problem area, thinking that it's a very unique problem area for them. But
Okay.
the thing is that it's not.
But so, is there a way that regular people can get some kind of test done and try to find out what fat percentage do they have? What range do they need to follow? Like, for example, I recall, like you mentioned, some of the universities or some high-end hospitals also do this test called DEX test. Where you stand on a particular machine, they'll put some sensors and it gives you output of various types of fats, water percentage, protein percentage, muscle, body weight ratios, and subcutaneous and visceral fat. So are there any specific tests that regular people can also do?
So DEXA is the gold standard, I would say, for this test. But then you also have body composition analyzers. like
Are
the one
these
that we have
accurate
at
though?
48. Around 95 to 98% it is. The reason why they are not accurate is, the reasons that are prevalent is your, water levels in the body. So if your water levels are very high, it'll kind of be biased. It'll show you more lean muscle mass and all those other things. So only for that reason it is inaccurate. Otherwise, it's more or less, very accurate because it measures your girth and all that through the electrical current.
Understood. Understood. Okay. Any other myth that comes?
So if you
Right. Okay. Understood. 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 Is there a specific range? Because I've seen like a lot of gym goers like to boast about the less fat percentage that they have. I have 10% body fat, and some athletes, in fact, I've seen endurance athletes having 20% also, but kind of helps them in their long distance runs also. So, is there a good for a regular person starting out their workouts for men, women? What's a good percentage to aim for?
So for men, I would say if we are talking about DEXA, then it's a little higher because it's a little more accurate. But if you're talking about your regular, body composition report, which you get in the gym, so that for men should be around, 16 to 18 to 19% of the overall body weight, and for women it should be around 22 to 28 because they usually carry less muscle mass, women, than men. They also, have to deliver babies, so the fat deposition is a little higher from hormonal point of view. So that I would say is the third myth. Fourth myth I would say is no pain, no gain. I think so. It's a big misconception that people have that because my body is not paining after workout, probably I did not have a good workout, or my body's paining too much. I think so. I had an excellent workout. I think so. It's a big myth because there are many metabolic pathways that are running in recovery post workout that initiate this pain or do not initiate this pain. So it's not a very good indicator for a good workout.
Right.
And in fact, thinking that pain is always a sign of a good workout is detrimental to health, because it could also be a sign of injury. So it's about understanding and differentiating between good pain and bad pain. Not good pain, no pain is good, but some acceptable pain and bad pain.
Right.
So I would say that any pain that is related to the joint is bad pain for sure.
Correct.
And needs to be addressed with proper medical treatment. So either you go to a physician, physiotherapist, or things like that to address it.
Right.
Either through medication or some painkiller or something like that, whatever you're prescribed. I think so that is important differentiation to have. Then fifth one, I would say that like we discussed initially, that people think that all carbs are bad for all.
Right.
So that's a big myth, because carb is one of the important macronutrient that we have, especially for people who work out regularly.
Absolutely.
So if we are not giving this premium fuel to the body, then we cannot fire on all cylinders when we are working
Absolutely.
out. In fact, research has shown that individuals who engage in high intensity workout, every hour they are burning around 60 grams of carbohydrates.
Right.
So we need this particular fuel source. It's just about finding the right kind of carbs versus the wrong kind of carbs. I would
Right.
say, and the context also matters when you're having these carbs and what kind of carbs. So what we want to aim for is complex, fibrous, slow digesting carbs throughout the
Right.
day, as opposed to your processed and fast, simple carbs.
Okay.
I would say that good sources that I would recommend throughout the day that people need to have is through millet. It's a
Okay.
good source of carb. Vegetables, that's a good source of carbs. Also seeds and nuts, good source of carbs. And if you're talking about post-workout, I think so you need something a little faster. But then at the same time, it should be a little fibrous.
Right.
So there I would say the box that are ticked, I think so it's by sweet potato. Sweet potato is a good source of carb post-workout. It's
Absolutely.
good starch and good fiber. Even rice for that matter is good.
Yeah.
But then that depends on person to person,
Right.
whether
And
they are
then
more comfortable
what's your
with
stage
brown,
of a workout?
correct, brown or white rice, depending on how soon they are having it post workout, and how the body is responding to different kind of carbs. Even for that matter, fruits and honey I would say is a good post workout carb. So carbs are needed, I would say. So I would it's about see sustainable fitness is all about understanding the science behind fitness, science behind health. Ultimately it comes down to what you're able to sustain for a very long time. If you're just resorting to myths and these fitness influencers who don't follow science,
Right.
then you'll just end up messing your whole body up.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And that is why many people who eat less and try to lose weight, they completely ruin their metabolism. Their appetites are like off the roof,
Right.
and therefore
Absolutely.
they end up regaining weight. And
Yeah.
that's why they submit and they give up. That probably weight loss is not for me. Probably it's genetic.
Correct.
But then if you don't use science, how will you know whether it's genetic or not?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And hence, I think, which you've mentioned it earlier, the point that one size doesn't fit all. You need to understand your own body better. You need to understand the biomarkers. You need to understand how your body is moving, what kind of deficiencies does your body have, and then accordingly, I think that plan has to be completely personalized and has to be curated for you, and which you can measure and probably get onto that path. So relating to this, I want to ask you the next question. Over the years, a lot of CXOs, high-profile people, actor, leaders of the country would have consulted you. You would have helped in their own fitness journey. And some of these people tend to go through dramatic transformation journeys also. For, let's say, for example, some actor going through some dramatic transformation for a movie. Is that a sustainable way of changing your bodies dramatically? How do you sort of help with your science and data-based, interventions? Is it sustainable, and should a regular person even try that?
I think, as we had discussed earlier, like people who are into ultra sports,
Yeah.
if day one they go into the kind of feat that they are, achieving after 10 years of training, if they do it on day one, I think so it'll be kind of little detrimental and little, not so scientific.
Injurious for sure.
Correct. So people need to consider their body transformation, in similar light. Because firstly, what we need to understand is that these high profile people who come to me, it is not that suddenly one day they realize that, they are not fit or they don't have a good body and suddenly they want to transform. probably they are at a body fat percent of 35, 50%, and
Wow.
they suddenly are, realizing that we need to reduce it. It is not that. Mostly what I get is that these people are at a respectable level of fitness owing to their consistency in workouts.
Right.
So they have, they work out consistently. It's not that they work out very intensely, but it is consistent.
Right.
They address all the 5 components of fitness.
Which
So
are?
be it muscular strength, be it muscular endurance, be it cardiovascular endurance, be it flexibility, be it body composition.
Right.
So they might not be at ideal body composition all the time of the year, but they are at a respectable one.
Right.
So for male, what I have seen is that maintaining a fat-free mass index of around 20 to 22 is a good level of body lean mass to have
Right.
in the body, and around body fat of, as I said, around 16 to 18. So before your transformation, these minimum criteria need to be met. For women, I would say that it's about, if we are talking about fat-free mass index, they should be around at 17, 19,
Right.
little lesser than men, but that's what we are aiming for. And body fat to be around 22, 28,
Right.
kind of a thing. So that's a good starting point for us to start the transformation,
Correct.
because nobody in this world can make a obese person go into a great transformation in 3 months, 4
Correct.
months. It takes time. It takes body. As I said, that body is a very intelligent machine. It wants to maintain homeostasis of muscle mass or fat mass.
Right.
It's only over the years that we see the decay. So the changes don't happen very, very fast.
Right.
They take time. So therefore, one has to be consistent
Right.
with their training. And apart from the fact that they work out regularly, they follow good nutrition, I would say that they also have a good support system. So whenever I'm talking to them, it's not that only I'm talking to them, I'm also coordinating with their team members. So they have nutritionists, they have personal trainers,
Right.
they have physiotherapists, they have people who do massage and all. They have chefs. So they have a complete support system to make sure that whatever specific goal that they want to achieve through this transformation, it's a conducive environment for them.
Right.
And then on top of that, although they are schedules are like very hectic,
Yeah.
but then when this transformation thing comes, when they have to push the envelope, where they are following a very strict diet, very strict workout regimen, they are a little flexible and they have dedicated time for their workouts and health.
Yeah.
So that is an important thing. Also on top of that, they are highly driven and disciplined and motivated people, because of the professional requirement that they have to
Correct.
have a certain body type or thing like that. So all these factors actually add up to they being able to transform.
Right.
Now this we can't expect a regular person to have all these facilities, all these intrinsic motivation and all that.
Right.
And what has worked for them, as we know that everybody is different.
Yeah.
Everybody's journey is different. Everyone is at a different stage of their life. So what has worked for them may not necessarily work for everyone.
Correct.
That is an important aspect to look at. So with regular person, what we are looking at is that they should be regularly imbibing some good healthy habit.
Absolutely.
They have to set realistic goals. They have to believe in the process that they are following. Because especially in fat loss, I would say, people, because when they start following a diet, because they have from becoming unhealthy to healthy,
Right.
they have transformed their perspective. The initial body weight loss is humongous, because most of the loss that has happened, weight loss that has happened, is water.
Water loss.
Once that water loss slows down and the body is now coming to fat loss, is when they start becoming impatient.
Correct.
They start distrusting the process.
Right.
There are times that I have so many clients coming to me that yesterday I did my leg workout, I'm following my diet, why is my weight more? So then I have to tell them that because you have addressed such a big tissue in your body, like you've done squats, lunges, leg presses, heavy ones,
Right.
there is a microscopic tear in your lower body. So all your water, all your nutrition that you're giving is gone and stuck there. So you have not changed in terms of your girth, circumference. It's only weight that has gone up.
Correct.
So don't focus so much on weight. So people need to focus on, or rather trust the process, and also celebrate small wins.
Right.
So I think so that is an important aspect of a journey of a person who's trying to lose weight.
Absolutely.
Like don't think that because you have lost only 0.1 kg per month, it is a failure. because at this rate, at this very doable rate, 0.1 kg, by the time you finish the year, you are at 1.2 kgs weight loss. And now you're talking about fat loss, not water loss.
Correct.
Because you're already 1 year into the diet.
Right.
So therefore, and hardly do I find people who are losing, after 6-7 years of following a particular diet, lose 1.2 kgs still. So if you're doing that, you're doing great.
Correct.
So
Absolutely.
that patience needs to be there.
Correct.
And I would say that just looking at your journey, as I said that your life is a sport, the biggest sport of all. So this sport, you have to consider it as an endurance,
Correct. Correct.
as a marathon,
Correct.
not a sprint. कि जितना जल्दी sprint करोगे उतना जल्दी थक भी जाओगे.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And when you're tired and when you're at your weak moment, you'll again go back to your old habits. So I would say that focus on developing good habits that stick with you for lifetime, because that will determine the outcome that you get. So it all starts with the mindset. From mindset, you move on to habits. From your habits, you move on to results.
Very well put. I think clearly life is a marathon and not a sprint. And of course, marathon being my area of interest, it resonates with me. I think setting like long-term goals for 50, 60, 70 years kind of helps you to stop looking at just micro results, like you were mentioning that if you start measuring everything every single day, every single week, then of course, I mean, it just kind of develops a myopic mindset. In which case, most of the people that we see today end up quitting their gym regimen or even cycling, swimming, running, or whatever sport they're into, because maybe one injury happened or results are not visible like they were visible in the beginning. Hence, probably a longer term mindset might help. And like you mentioned, with mindset comes the habits. With habits, you start seeing results. I think great way to put it. Let me ask you a related question. Very little is written about the intersection between diet and mental health, but they are clearly related. What are your thoughts on certain diets that can help us in augmenting our mental health? Are there any protocols? Are there any specific food groups that we should be consuming to be able to sort of not just be physically fit but also mentally fit?
Correct. Yeah, so that's a very good question, I would say. So nutrition has a pivotal role to play in mental health. That's what I have understood in my journey as a functional medicine coach. What we eat doesn't just affect our physical health.
Yeah.
It also affects our mental well-being and emotional well-being. That is very important for us to consider. For example, like any other organ, I would say that even the brain needs certain nutrients, specific nutrients, to function well. Like the top one would be, I would say, omega-3 fatty acids.
Right.
So if you want our brain to be clear, develop very well through the time that we are growing, to the time that we are in adulthood, we need to ensure that we are having omega-3 fatty acid rich foods like fatty fish or chia seeds or flax seeds.
Right.
They are very good in omega-3 fatty acids. Then I would say that even sometimes deficiency of some vitamins like vitamin B12, vitamin D can lead to mood disturbances. So we need to ensure that these nutrients are regularly going into our diet. Though B12 more than your D3, because your B12 is water soluble, so the turnover in the body is very high. D3 is not very high because it's fat soluble.
Right.
That is very important. And also not consuming your processed foods,
Okay.
which are rich in added sugar and fats, artificial fats, because what that does is that really swings your blood sugar. There's too much of variability in your blood sugar, which then leads to anxiety, depression. So so nutrition plays a role, a very important role in your mental health. But then the next thing that I think that you would want to know about is the mindset. That's the next layer that we should address. So many people, they are having negative self-perception about themselves. They don't approach food in a very healthy way. They don't think about themselves in a very highly good fashion.
Right.
So they end up not developing very good habits. So if you have a punitive mindset towards food, that food is a source of me to express my guilt, my anxiety, then it's not a very good relationship that we are having with food.
Right.
And this typically happens, that I have seen in my practice, is when people, they start thinking about diets. as soon as you say that this diet will particularly work for me, for my for my goals, so that could be muscle gain, recomposition, that could be fat loss, whatever it is. So when we have that dogmatic mindset that we need to follow this diet because in this diet I'm allowed this food and I'm not allowed this food. So now what we are doing is we are categorizing the food that we have into good or bad.
Right.
So there's that dichotomous thinking that we start developing, that if I had this food, I will not get results, and now I'm a bad person. So you start
Right.
associating the food with yourself.
Right. Right.
So that is not a very good mindset, and that typically happens when people say that I'm on keto diet, where they are having certain foods which are fatty and certain foods which are little carb rich.
Right.
They follow that for the time that they have the motivation and the mood. Suddenly, when they are into a party or when they are into a social environment, and they have that one small piece of cake or whatever it is,
Yeah.
they go on a guilt trip.
Right.
Then now my diet is gone, now my weight has gone, and now for the next 6-7 weeks they will be on the non-keto diet.
Oh my God.
So this happens with keto, this happens with any kind of diet, vegan diet,
The fat
so many
diets.
diet. Yeah. So instead of categorizing our food as good or bad, black or white, think of the food as shades of gray, different shades of gray. So this food will give you carbs, proteins, fats. This food will give you carbs. So you need to understand what you need at that particular moment in time.
Correct.
And have it without guilt.
Yeah.
Not a problem. So the three main principles that I would say that needs to be followed to lose weight sustainably is either you look at portion control, where you know that okay, I have been given this many grams of carbs, proteins and fats, so I need to have it divided through the day. So measure your food and then start having it. Probably first week you will struggle because you'll have to, it's a tedious thing of measuring again and again. But once you have that recall in you, then you will be using a lot of intuitive eating. Welcome to know okay, 100 grams of say for example white rice will give me 45 grams of carbs. 45 is 45 into 4,
Right.
which will give me so many calories. So fat karke you will start recalling what kind of portions you need to have.
Right.
So either you follow the portion restriction approach,
Right.
or you follow a dietary restriction approach,
Right.
where as I said that you categorize foods into good and bad foods.
Right.
But you need to be aware that that might backfire on the days that probably you're not in the right environment around you. So that time you can be a little agile and fall back to your portion control.
Right. Right.
Or the third approach that you can have is intermittent fasting or your time restriction.
Right.
So even time restriction is not just a great way to control your calories, but it's also a great way to improve your metabolic health,
Right. Right.
where you're improving your insulin sensitivity, you're reducing your inflammation in the body. So that's another way. So we can achieve weight loss in 3 different ways, not just one way.
Oh, excellent.
So there's no magical diet. There are magical principles that one needs to follow
Right.
and needs to be aware of. Because in my functional medicine practice also, I emphasize on the practice of mindful eating,
Right.
being aware of the time that you're eating, being present when you're eating, not be distracted. Also, you should be like knowing your hunger cues, your satiety cues. You need to be aware of that.
Correct.
And you also need to be very well versed with your emotional eating patterns,
Right.
because everyone breaks down. Everyone has that weak
Given-
moment in life where you want to indulge.
Right.
So you need to be aware that you're going to indulge on, say for example, Sunday. I have so many high profile clients who socialize on Sunday, so they know that Sunday no dieting is happening. So then we strategize. They are using the FRFP protocol. We strategize their meal plans,
Right.
that these are things that you'll be having and this is how you'll go about it.
Sure, sure. I think let's talk about the FRFP protocol, which is your trademark, which you've been implementing in various people's transformations. Please tell us something about it and how a regular individual can reap the benefits around it. Of course, they can come to you directly and see
Or they can read the book.
or read the book, of course. Guys, order it online. Amazon will. I'll actually put the purchase link in the show notes. But yeah, I mean, tell us all about the protocol itself.
Sure. So through the 500 more than 500 actually research papers that I've studied, is the result of how I came across this FRFP protocol, and of course the consultation also that I did, that what are the common themes that I see people following and getting results. So this particular FRFP protocol has really helped my clients even globally
Right.
increase their energy levels, reduce their appetite, and also lose weight and reverse their lifestyle diseases. So I think so these are the main benefits of this particular approach. It is not a diet plan. Firstly,
Right.
it's a framework. It's a principles that one needs to follow. And FRFP is an acronym that stands for fast first. R stands for restrict processed foods. F again stands for fuel with fat.
Right.
And lastly, P stands for proceed with protein. So these are the main components. So let us break down one by one,
Sure.
so that people have little clarity of what we are talking about. So I would say so when we are talking about fasting we have been doing from many centuries. It's not
Correct.
something new. It's not something new that I'm talking about. It is a time-tested method to achieve the goal of good health and weight loss. It is also a practice that has been followed for across the globe by
Yeah.
many cultures and religions. But I would say scientifically, what fasting does is it creates a metabolic switch of the body from using carbs that we consume from the food to fats that is stored in the body, which is great for people who have high body fat mass, who have high body percent,
Right.
body fat percent. So it is good for them because not only are they because a typical body, I would say, even at a very low body fat percent, it has almost at least 10 kgs of fat
Right.
stored in it. I'm talking about very lean people. Even they have like 10 kgs.
Correct.
So and 1 kg of fat gives you around 7 kilocalories
Right.
around. So they have 70,000 worth of calories stored in their body.
Wow.
So just think about people who have higher body fat mass.
Correct.
How much fat they have. So if through fasting they are able to access that fat instead of using, so body will either use carbs or fats. It'll never use both.
Right.
So body will use carbs when you've eaten your food. So whatever carb you get from your food, the body will burn that. It'll store your body fat temporarily. Once that has been consumed and your blood sugar has come down, then the stored fat will come up
Correct.
for burning. So fasting helps us achieve that particular approach, that particular metabolic switch, I would say. And the good thing about fasting is that there are many approaches to get the benefits. The insulin sensitivity, the reduction of inflammation. So I'll talk about the top three, I would
Sure,
say.
sure,
Otherwise,
sure.
it'll just go on and on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this topic itself is, I feel that this should be a 2-part series. We should do 2 or 3 of these episodes because I am thoroughly enjoying each segment of it.
Sure. Thank you so much. So the first approach is 16/8. I think so many people have heard about it, and many of them also do it without having read the book or without
Sure.
because like 8 hours you're sleeping, and then 4 to 5 to 6 hours you have to just extend yourself to get into that 16-hour fasting, and then you eat within 8-hour window. That is the most common. Second common, I would say, is alternate day fasting.
Right.
This is an approach that has really helped, especially with my clients who are a little high BMI, because what they do is they eat regularly one day in a week, and then they'll do fasting for the next day.
Right.
There mostly what I have done is that I have put them on one meal a day kind of a approach,
Sure.
1 meal a day kind of a guideline,
Right.
so that they are able to fast for the next day
Sure.
throughout the day. Then, and in fact, alternate day fasting is one of the most studied form of fasting in the literature, which has shown around anywhere from 3 to 8% weight loss
Wow.
within 3 to 24 weeks, which is a great achievement because obviously you get more benefits as you keep doing it regularly. But because studies can't go very long, right? Nutrition studies are very expensive to do.
Right.
You
Right.
need sponsors, you need volunteers to agree to the food that you want them to have and the lifestyle that you want them to have. So it's very expensive. So till now we have only seen in 24 weeks what
Right.
people are able to achieve, but then anecdotal evidence is there where I have seen people lose more weight and be consistent with that. And then the last approach would be 5/2, where people eat normally for 5 days in a week, and then any 2 days they pick where they fast.
Right.
Again, mostly they are consuming protein because I don't want them to go down on their protein intake, and capping their calorie intake to around 600 to 800 calories. So with this, they are able to reduce their insulin levels. They are able to access their body fat and reduce body fat. So I think so that is the first thing that my approach talks about.
Sure.
Then is restrict refined carbohydrates or refined foods.
Right.
So this particular problem has happened, and in today's time, I have seen many people practicing nutrition who tell people not to have any processed food, but that becomes very impractical.
Correct.
Because as soon as you psych yourself that processed food are bad, and once I have it, I am a bad person or I will not achieve results.
Yeah.
May be counterintuitive or counterproductive.
Right.
So therefore, the FRFP protocol acknowledges that without fast food, you cannot live in today's time. So you can have some fast food, but you need to moderate it. Because see, with the advancement of food technology, food refinement technology in the 20th century, there has been a lot of rise in the processed food that are now available,
Correct.
like Maggie.
Correct.
Like Maggie, there are so many now.
Correct. Almost
So
everything that is available in a supermarket is a processed,
Correct.
some form of processed food.
Correct. So this food refinement technology has made extracting sugar from sugar cane, from beet, from corn, to be extracted very economically, very cheaply.
Correct.
And also extract fat from your artificial sources of fat like grains and seeds. So this particular thing has made calories very cheap, cheaply available and readily available.
Correct.
So now companies, food manufacturers can actually transport their foods across the globe without it going bad. So but this was not the problem, because obesity and chronic diseases of the civilization has been linked to the rise in these kind of foods.
Correct.
People living before 20th century, they never had access to these foods.
Right.
So they never ended up becoming the obese levels that we are seeing today, the epidemic that we are seeing today. So what they relied on mostly was coming from plants rather than being manufactured in a plant. So now we are consuming more of food that are being manufactured in a plant rather than coming from the plant directly. So we need to now reverse that. And to reverse that, we have 80-20 rule. So what does this 80-20 rule tell you is that 80% of the calories that we should be consuming should be protein and fiber rich.
Wow.
Should be whole food and not processed. And 20% we can consume, ultimately we can't give up our biscuits and our, bakery products and all that.
Correct.
So as long as we are aware that, 20%, not more than 20% I'll be consuming daily of that kind of food, weight loss becomes sustainable and easy, I would say, with the FRFP framework. So for example, if you consume 2000 calories to maintain your current weight, 1600, which is like 80%, should come from unprocessed foods.
Right.
And around 600 calories should come from your processed food on a higher side.
Right.
So this ensures that you're getting a good balance of right nutrients without over consuming calories.
Right.
Because as we know that processed food consumption is related to too much of calorie consumption without much nutrients, which leads to lethargy and an insatiable appetite for food.
Absolutely.
So that's how the R is describing the approach. Then comes F, which is fuel with fat.
Right.
Now, fat is an important nutrient for our body. People don't realize that. In fact, fat helps you to release, body fat. When you have dietary fat, it blends with your body fat and it releases very fast. That's why people end up losing a lot of fat when they are on little high fat diet. And it also does not lead to much of insulin spike.
Right.
Unlike carbohydrates. So your body is at a good state of insulin levels and it's able to burn off, fat.
Sure.
Especially unsaturated fat, I would say, is very important for the body. So unsaturated fat, like, fat from olive oil, from avocado oil, these fats encourage hormone production in the body. So you might know that prostaglandins are very important for us, for the repair in the body, for inflammation reduction.
Okay.
So production of prostaglandins are something that fats encourage. Fat is required. Then I would say also the absorption of fat soluble vitamins.
Right.
Like vitamin A, E, K, D.
Yeah.
You need fats for that. Also for cellular protection.
Right.
Because our cells are naked without the fat covering, which is called phospholipid around it. So fats are required for normal functioning of the cells. So there's functional benefit also and there's weight loss benefit also of having fats.
Right.
And research, in fact, has shown that for people who follow a high fat, low carbohydrate diet, or rather higher fat, lower carbohydrate diet, have seen improvement in insulin sensitivity,
Right.
have reduced the risk of type 2 diabetes. So it is important from that standpoint also. So trying to keep your fat intake to 40% of your total calories is what we are looking at, with other 30 coming from carbs and
Right.
protein. Then so that was F. Then P is also important. Proceed with protein. Protein is a vital nutrient, I think, because your body is made up of protein, and it's an essential nutrient because right from your bone to your skin and hair, everything is protein.
Right.
So we need protein to ensure that we are healthy. That weight loss, that's a different benefit that which I'll come to, but even for health, good health, it is very important.
Right.
So especially for us Indians, I would say, because there was this research, epidemiological research I was reading, which said that almost 70% of Indians are deficient in protein, like not even consuming 0.8
Correct.
grams per kilogram of body weight, which is very important. In fact, now recent research has shown that this level may be increased for specific population, which is older adults,
Yeah.
people who are into their 40, 50, 60s, people, then women, also people who are very active. So their requirement is almost like 3 times of that minimum level. It's like 2.4 grams per kilogram of body weight to stay healthy and to stay very strong.
Right.
In fact, you'll not believe,
Hmm.
the second highest tissue in the body is protein.
Wow.
So at number 1 we have water at 65%.
Right.
Then protein is at 20% of your overall body weight.
Wow.
Then at 15%, it is divided into 3 things, which is fat, carbs which is stored in the
Right.
body called glycogen, and minerals, which is your calcium and all that. So protein is that important. It's the second most abundant tissue in the body.
Right.
So protein is very important from health point of view. From fat loss point of view, it helps you in 2 ways.
Right.
One is it increases your metabolism. So the calorie out of your equation
Right.
of your weight loss is getting a boost because you're having good amount of protein, 20-30 grams of protein per meal.
Correct.
Secondly is the satiety factor. So protein helps release this hormone
Correct.
called the glucagon like peptide 1, GLP-1, which is responsible for indicating satiety to your brain. And secondly, it is keeps you fuller because it slows down the transit of food from your gut. So the deadly combination of increase in metabolism because of protein intake
Right.
and reduction in appetite causes you to lose weight
Right.
effortlessly without feeling that I'm deprived,
Correct.
without deprivation. So you're adding some kind of refined foods
Right.
which are available today. You're adding some kind of good fats like omega-3, omega-6.
Right.
You are adding fasting element to reduce inflammation, increase your insulin sensitivity, and you're adding the most important nutrient in your body through protein. And that's how FRFP protocol really helps
Right.
one to have that sustainable approach, because it's a framework. It's not a diet plan,
It's not a diet.
and you have to be within that circle of
Right. The parameters. Yeah.
correct.
I think this is a gold standard for anyone to not just get immediate results, but actually build a framework for their lifetime. And I think some of the elements are clearly taken from the Indian 10,000 year rich history of fasting, and it could be for whatever reasons. But if you can inculcate, like you mentioned, a lot of religion, like Hindus practice fasting on a Monday, maybe a Saturday or Thursday. I think this is definitely good for your health as well. And protein, I like to call the Indian society as protein deficient but myth abundant kind of a society, because we have all kinds of myths around food, but when it comes to protein, it's always lacking. Even if you are completely vegetarian, you're still not able to identify what kind of right food groups you should be adding in your diet to be able to process that. And I think it was a revelation to me that protein is almost like oxygen, where let's say Earth has 70%, 78% nitrogen, but next one is oxygen. And similarly, in our body, 65% is water and 20% is your protein, and 15,
Correct.
almost 14% is fat, and 1%, half, less than 1% is everything else put together.
Correct, correct. In fact, this reminds me that your nitrogen, so nitrogen is required for the body to repair and grow.
Right.
And protein is the only nutrient that has nitrogen element in it. Carbs does not have it, your fats does not have it.
Yeah.
So it becomes an indispensable nutrient for the body.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think Vijay, I have so many other questions, but because of the paucity of time and the time that we had allocated, I'll try to wrap it up. And
Sure.
before we call it a day, I would like to know your mantra. If there is only one message that anyone can take from this interview, what would be that Vijay's gold standard message that you would want to give to everyone to lead a healthy and happy life?
I would say that don't take your body for granted. It is the first and the last asset that you have been given.
Right.
Because ultimately you have to use your body, your subtle body, your gross body to enjoy your life. Because there's no market for replacing your body.
Yeah.
Like today, if you get a scratch on your phone, on your laptop, on your car, there's a market to go and repair it and it's as good as new. But for your body, there's no market.
Yeah.
So you have to take that preventive care
Yeah.
to ensure that you live a long and a happy life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Beautifully said. And why it carries the weight, because you being a renowned, I think, entrepreneur, as well as from a family that has been creating businesses in different verticals, doing so well, yet, giving all the value to having a fit and healthy life. And I keep seeing so many of your social media posts, publications that you talk about. In fact, I think the entire family indulges in fitness practices and living a longevity oriented life. It's incredible. Thank you so much.
you.
I think you've been
Thank you.
abundantly gracious to give all the gyan, all the principles, frameworks that will help people to live a longer life.
Thank you,
I will
Nishant.
put all your links in the show notes so that they can reach out to you. Thank you so much once again, Vijay.
Thank you, Nishant. It was a pleasure coming on your show and talking about fitness.
Thank you so much.
The more we talk about it, the more people will be aware of how to go about it.
Absolutely. I think even if 10 people take some action today after watching this, our job is done.
Sure. I
Yeah.
really agree.
Thank you once again.
Thank you.
Thank you, audience.
Thank
If you've been watching till the very end, continue to train, endure, conquer, and I will see you in the next episode.